And welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk, and I'm guessing that segment, we're going to tweet out a link to that. That is just going to absolutely light up the left for the way in which they have demonized Dr. Cameron, but I have no fault to find with his methodology. In fact, you remember him citing research, similar research that was done in Denmark by people that are homosexual activists, coming to the conclusion that homosexuals die on average at about age 60. That's their longevity in Denmark that's normalized homosexual behavior since at least 1989. And the average lifespan of non-homosexuals in Denmark is in the 80s, same place it is in the United States. And his research in San Francisco, Dr. Cameron's research indicated that the average age of death for males who are homosexuals is 52, lesbians 55, whereas the average age of non-homosexual males is 82, and non-lesbian females was 85. So almost 30 years for both men and women in San Francisco, and somewhere between 20 and 25 years in Denmark. So I think obviously the conclusion there, I just find that inescapable. I don't see any way to explain that away. This is information that's drawn from obituaries that are written by friends and family members of homosexuals themselves. So this information is coming from the homosexual community. It's not coming from right-wing groups. It's not coming from pro-family groups. It's information about age of death that's coming from the homosexual community itself. I don't know how you explain that away. You can't wish that away. You can't just pretend it doesn't exist. And so once again, Paul Cameron, this is, I find it very compelling, that information provided by the homosexual community itself indicates very clearly that active participation in the homosexual lifestyle can cost you between 20 and 30 years of your normal life expectancy. So, we want homosexuals to understand this. We want them to know this because we love them. We want them to live a full and complete life. We don't want to see them miss a single day of the life that God has planned for them. The scriptures indicate that every day in our lives is written in a book. Psalm 139, God's written a book, and he's got every day we're supposed to live in that book. And we want we want everybody, but homosexuals as well, we want them to live every single day that God intends for them to live. Number to call, 888-589-8840. If you want to join the program, got about a half hour left. Be glad to take some of your phone calls. Let's play some, we've got this trial going on in Philadelphia for Dr. Kermit Gosnell. This is just absolutely grotesque. And, his place was called a house of horrors by the mainstream media. And I haven't spent a lot of time on it because it is gruesome. It's just it's just hard to even contemplate what went on in this house of horrors, this late-term abortion clinic. We've got testimony. The trial is going on right now. The media has done a blackout on this. This is absolutely, it's Nazi-esque what Kermit Gosnell and his staff did to these babies. If they were born alive, what Kermit Gosnell would do is he would take a pair of scissors and he would actually cut the spinal column in two. He would sever the spinal column to make sure that the baby died. That's how he would kill them if they were born alive. And there's one testimony that this happened to as many as 100 babies who were born alive in his late-term abortion clinic. So a woman gave testimony today who said that she started doing an internship for him, started helping him kill babies when she was 15. And Dr. Gosnell had her participating in medical procedures. This is Ashley Baldwin is her name. This is in the Philadelphia Inquirer. This was testimony today. Ashley Baldwin, 15-year-old sophomore at University City High School, got a job at Gosnell's clinic at 15. She was paid and in no time went from answering phones to doing ultrasounds, administering intravenous medicine, this with no formal medical training whatsoever, and assisting in abortions performed by her mentor, Kermit Gosnell. Now 22 and the mother of a 2-year-old son, Baldwin on Thursday told a Philadelphia Common Pleas court jury hearing Gosnell's murder trial. He's on trial for killing 7 of these babies, newborn babies. Killed them, murdered them. Their infants, their newborn, their babies, their American citizens, cut their spinal columns in two to kill them. Baldwin also told the jury about seeing at least 5 aborted babies moving, breathing, and in one case screeching after late-term procedures at the clinic. She said they looked just like regular babies. She said she also saw Gosnell use scissors to snip the neck of newborns who were moving after the procedure. That's how he'd get them to stop moving. He'd paralyze them by snipping their spinal column, and then they would just die. He's been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder in the deaths of 7 infants born alive, and then he cut their spinal cord with scissors. If anybody ought to be sentenced to death, it certainly would be him. And you've heard nothing about this in the mainstream media, just nothing. In fact, I'm looking at a picture right here of the section of the courtroom where there are seats reserved for the media. You've got 3 rows of benches there, 4 actually, and they have been reserved for the media. And there's 1 member of the media sitting there. It's been a total blackout by the media. You know, and one congressman said, look, if he had shot these 7 babies with an AR-15, you wouldn't have been able to bribe your way into this courtroom. But because he killed these babies with a pair of scissors, the mainstream media, you know, and I think, frankly, I think they are so disturbed by this, they honestly do not know what to do. They want this to go away. They do not want people to know the reality of what goes on in abortion clinics. And he's not an outlier. He's not the only one in America that's doing these kind of late-term abortions. And I think the media is completely freaked by this. It wigs them out. It disturbs them. I think it shakes them to the core. And the only thing they know to do is to look away and to hope that nobody finds out about this. It is so Nazi-esque. It is so Hitler-esque. It is so grotesque that the media has done a blackout on this. And you think about the media obsession over guns. I mean, it's guns, guns, guns every day. We got to stop the Newtown tragedy. We got to protect the kids. We got to do something about guns every single day. And yet here's a guy that's murdered 7 babies and 1 mother, and there's nothing. And he's done this in cold blood after they have been born alive. Well, let's go to Bill in Florence, South Carolina. Bill, welcome to Focal Point with Brian Fisher. What's on your mind?
Love your show. I just got a comment, and then I'll get off the phone and listen to you on the radio.
Okay.
Obamacare, as expensive as it is, they're looking for ways to cut costs. Do you think it's an accident or by design that Obama is okay with abortion that will kill babies so he doesn't have to pay for a lifetime of insurance, and that he's okay with the gay agenda having a 20-year shorter lifespan so he doesn't have to pay for that for an extra 20 years?
Well, you know, and I think you've got a really good point there, Bill, that, you know, the left is fundamentally anti-human. They're anti-people. They despise human beings other than elitists such as themselves. I mean, this goes all the way back. I've got a piece here. I don't know if I'll have a chance to get to it today, maybe on Monday, about the racism of Woodrow Wilson, the progressives. And Woodrow Wilson was the one that systematically introduced segregation into the railway mail service on March 4 or April 11, 1913. We just passed the 100th anniversary of Woodrow Wilson, an arch liberal, an icon on the left, instituting racial segregation. Why? Because he felt that he and his other enlightened Caucasians, progressives, were infinitely superior to the black race. This guy was a Democrat. This guy's an icon on the left. He and his buddies considered themselves the intellectual elite. They embraced eugenics and racial theory. This only went out of favor because of Adolf Hitler, because Adolf Hitler showed the world where eugenics and racial theory takes you. But Woodrow Wilson thought that all of this was grounded in science, that science indicated that blacks were inferior. That's where you get this experiment with these Tuskegee Airmen who were intentionally infected with syphilis just to see what would happen. So what you have on the left is you have this fundamental disdain for human beings other than themselves. They believe that as elites, they're superior to us in every way. They're smarter than us. They're brighter than us. They ought to be entrusted with power because they're so far above us in every way that counts. And we are just this massive humanity that doesn't count. Our lives have no value to them. So therefore, there's no worry on their part if babies are aborted. There's no hesitation on their part to institute death panels that will deliberately deprive senior citizens of health care so they'll die earlier. Why? Because it saves money. Babies cost money. It costs money to raise them. It costs money to feed them. It costs money to send them to school. So if they die, it saves the precious government. It saves the government money. If senior citizens die because they don't get treatments, they don't get surgical procedures, that's good as far as people on the left are concerned because they cost money. You're saving the precious government. You're saving it money. So, yeah, I have no reason to disagree with your assessment that abortion and euthanasia are absolutely fine with people on the left because the people that are being gotten rid of are people that don't even count in their world. They don't have value in their world because the only people that have value to them are, of course, they themselves and their fellow elitists. Now, they deserve everything because they are elite. They're the anointed ones. So therefore, they have privileges that they deserve that you and I don't get. So sixth graders don't get White House tours because President Obama needs that money to have the Memphis Soul concert with Justin Timberlake and all these other soul brothers and sisters in there. I mean, that was an official government event, so that was paid for with our tax dollars. But no, they don't have money for sixth grade kids from Iowa, but they've got money for a fancy pants Soul Train concert in the White House because they deserve it, because they are the elite. They are better than you and me. Focal Point AFR Talk, back in 2.